Perfect. We'll just get started. We will let people come in and join us. Just to give you a quick introduction of why we've been doing this webinars and what are we trying to achieve this. We've been doing this monthly webinars wherein we are bringing Moolyas to come and present about various topics each month to the whole testing community. And this month we have with us Dinesh and Naresh, who've been with us for quite some long time. These webinars are really special to all of us because we get to host one of the Moolyans, bring them out with the testing community, and interact with a whole lot of people. Dinesh Kumar here is our lead estate. He's been a part of Moolya family for over 4 years and has various experience and expertise in his field. We also have Naresh, the associate test manager, who is completing 4 years next month and has worked with us across various projects and domains. They bring in a lot of expertise from their domains, and I am super glad to have them both over here with us. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I would set it over to Dinesh.
Thanks, Rucha, for the introduction, and good morning, folks. Hope everyone is doing great. Let me share my screen. Okay. Once again, we all welcome you guys for this webinar, and myself, Dinesh, and I have my co-presenter Naresh with me. We are going to explain you guys about how to prevent bugs. Like, first of all, why do you want to prevent a bug? Okay. Yep. There is a universal thought that prevention is better than cure, right? So it's just not applicable only to the medical science, it is applicable to the software development life cycle as well. So where do you think, I have a quick question for you guys, where do you think we are identifying the defects? Is it in a development phase, or in a requirement phase, or design phase, or in a implementation phase? So where do you see the defects are being identified? If you can type in the chat.
Let's type in our answers. This is a really nice topic. Let us all participate.
So I'll repeat the question. So yeah, where do you find, where do you see the defects are being introduced? Yep. Ashok says it's on development. Yeah, Gaurav also mentioning it as development. But yeah, it starts from requirement phase itself. Yeah. And yeah, development from requirement as well. Great. Thanks for the. So yeah, so most of the defects, it's an imperfection that it is occurring in the software development phase, which are failed to meet the desired expectation. But we have a misconception here. So it's not like most of the defects are emerged during the development phase. It's injected in the beginning of the cycle, which means in the requirement phase itself, and which are removed. So those injected defects are being removed to rest of the development process. So when the bugs are being introduced, why these bugs are arises, as I mentioned, we have something called development phase. So what happens in the development phase mostly, it's unclear requirement to the developers, or incorrect requirements, or complex design, or complicated logic. So these could be the reasons for the introduction of defects in the development life cycle. And what happens in the testing side? Almost sometimes we don't have insufficient, we don't have time to test the particular product properly, or we are lacking the product knowledge and change of the requirements. So it's more related to the development cycle. Well, if there is a requirement change, again, we will be trying to test the same requirement often. And also sometimes it's with the environment and system issues, right? So these are certain things like why the bugs are arising, and what could be the effects of a software defects. So the result of bug may be extremely serious, and software bugs are among the things that every business would like to avoid all the times. And it's on QA job to ensure software application meet all set of requirements without any issue. So here you can see that I have given 5 different examples, like real-time consequences of a software bug. So I can explain a couple of them and how costly it is when what is the effect of the software defects. So first thing would be software can be critical to people's health and well-being. So in today's world, technology has made it possible for the healthcare industry to implement the use of care management technology, I mean the healthcare management technology, to ease service delivery and access to healthcare, which means like you are clicking a button and you are getting a medicine to your home, right? So however, there was a software bug which was discovered in UK's National Health Service in 2018 that put over 10,000 patients at risk of getting a wrong medication, right? So with such a bug, patient would have received inappropriate medication that would have made them the situation worse. So what did the UK government do? So they just destroyed the NHS public prescriptions, and this bug would have led to the health hazards in UK. So it is clear indication of the fact that people can go through several consequences due to poor quality standard, right? So it is impacting the health and well-being of a personal or to the entire family or to the nation, right? And similar thing, which always happens, like not always, like sometimes happens with the rocket launch, what happens with this launch and Chandrayaan 2 as well, right? So in 1996, there was a satellite payload was supposed to be delivered in Earth's orbit using the European Ariane 5 rocket. So the rocket name is Ariane 5. Please remember that. Unfortunately, there was a bug with the software using the rocket during the launch. So this led to the rocket veering off its path after 37 seconds after it was launched, so that the rocket self-destructed itself. And later it was found out that the problem was caused due to the reuse of the code from Airline 4, which was a predecessor of the Ariane 5. Okay, so the Ariane 4 flight condition was different than the Ariane 5. So this disaster paved a way of better coding, because you know what, they were using the existing functionality, I mean the existing code, reusing the same code in the new rocket, I mean the Ariane 5, which caused a whooping loss of like 370 million. Right. So yeah, this could be the effects of the software defects, and it's our tester's responsibility to prevent from prevent the bugs in the initial phase. So bugs in software application can have significant impact on quality, reliability, and user experience of a software. So therefore, it's crucial for the software testers to adapt proactive measures to prevent bugs from occurring. So preventing software bugs, it's a critical aspect of software developing process. And while it is challenging to completely eliminate the bug, one effective approach is to foster the collaboration between testers, developers, and business analysts, and leverage the technique such as pair analysis. So first we need to understand what is the importance of collaboration here. So as we all know, what is a collaboration, right? So collaboration is a fundamental aspect of human interaction. So it involves individuals or groups working together towards a common goal, sharing ideas, resources, and responsibilities to achieve a mutual objective. And the importance of collaboration can be understood from several perspectives. And there are the list like synergy of ideas and to the innovation and growth. So I'll just quickly walk through like what these acronyms are mean for. So synergy of ideas. When people with different background and experience collaborate, they can generate innovative solutions and ideas that may not have emerged through individual effort, right? So this synergy of ideas foster creativity and leads to more robust and effective outcomes. And enhancing problem solving. When we are collaborating, right, in a group, we have the group of collective knowledge, skills, leading to more problem solving, effective problem solving. Complex challenges can be tackled more efficiently when people combine their expertise, and leading to deeper understanding of a problem and comprehensive solutions. And efficiency and productivity, yep, of course, like when working together, individual as together, they can divide the workload, focus more on their strength, and accomplish tasks faster. This efficiently enhances the productivity and helps to meet the deadline more effectively. And yeah, personal growth and learning, yeah, with collaborating with other people, we can learn, it's a give and take policy, right? So people can learn from one another and acquire new skills and gain insight into different perspectives. This continuous learning fosters individual growth and adaptability. And yeah, stronger relationship. When people work together, they towards a shared objective, it builds trust, respect, which positively impacts the work environment. Of course, the effective communication. So if you're working in a team, right, you need to communicate. So team members must share the information, provide feedback, and engage in constructive discussions. And increased motivation and engagement. So yeah, of course, when you're working on a team, you feel motivated because you have the team, like team assign your task, and when people feel they are part of the collective efforts and their contributed contributions are valued here, and they are more likely to be committed to the project success. And next comes the adaptability and flexibility. So when you're working as a team, right? So maybe in real time world, like you can there are possibilities like you can switch projects, right? So in those situations, like when you are having the importance, or when you understand the importance of collaboration, you can go to the new circumstances and easily adapt to the particular challenges which the other projects are already handling it. And conflict resolution, when conflict arises, yeah, collaborative team approach are the better equipped solution to handle with. And innovation and growth, yes, many groundbreaking discoveries and advancements in various fields has resulted in collaborative efforts. So saying that, like when we talk about like importance of collaborations, I'm not mentioning that okay, we need to collaborate only with the testers. So you can collaborate with business analyst, dev, or dev manager, or people from other projects, so that they have their insights, so which can be used for your projects, right? So I just touch base a real time scenario here. Most of us are working on agile methodology, right? So everybody will be part of grooming meeting, and if there is a new story being delivered from the product, we go to the grooming meeting with limited questions, like based upon our understanding to the stories, like we go to the grooming session with the limited questions, and there will be discussion happening, and product will be going through the entire story, and we ask the questions, and there was a reply from the product or from the dev or whoever it is, and we won't be thinking much about the edge cases here. Or later we don't talk much about the edge cases to BA or to the dev, or we won't think how the technical implementation is done. So when I started my career, like if there is a technical discussion, if real time, like in agile methodology, whenever there is a technical discussion happening, most of the testers or my senior testers will say, like, okay, they are discussing, the developers are discussing about the technical stuff. We don't want to listen it. But I strongly suggest you guys go and meet the technical implementation or technical meetings, understand what they are discussing about, so that you know, okay, this particular piece of like this particular technology has been used in this story, and when you read about that particular technology, you will get some more insight about the story, right? And which in turn leads to another edge case scenario, which we, like, either the developer or the tester or the BA might have not thought about it, right? Yep. So yeah, it's a simple uh, pointers bulletins like what I explained in the previous slide.
Yeah. Before going to the next slide, I would like to reiterate what Dinesh covered so far. So we all testers, we understand bugs are inevitable. So even though we do test thoroughly, and even if we give a lot of coverage, end of the day, some of the bugs is going to be there in the production. So the idea of this webinar is to uh, see how we can uncover the bugs which is coming under our radar. So something if comes under our control, so how we can cover it, and how we can enhances the radar coverage by collaborating with different people. So that is what we are going to see about in this presentation. So as Dinesh mentioned, the collaboration is the going to play a vital role over here. So we are going to collaborate with different people. So when you are in an agile team, I think most of the IT teams are in following agile now. I think they are going to follow a pure agile or something like hybrid. So, and I think most of the people will go through the same cycle, like sprint planning, sprint refinement, or grooming, where you groom your user stories, and then you will get the stories for the testing. So here we are going to see how we are going to collaborate with different people on different stages, and how we can prevent bugs. So yeah, you can go to the next slide.
Yep. So previously we were discussing about collaboration, and now it's about adapting pair analysis technique. So why do we want pair analysis? So it's a collaborative technique that involves two individuals or two or more individuals working together to analyze and review a particular subject matter, right? So this method can be used in various contexts, such as problem solving, decision making, evaluating options, or analyzing data, right? So here are the list of techniques like pair analysis technique which you can follow. So initially, like it's kind of select the pair. So whomever you are comfortable with, like whether it is a BA product or dev or your peer tester. So select the pair, choose the two individuals to participate in the analysis. It is essential to have people with different perspective, like knowledge with different perspective and area of expertise, as this can lead to more comprehensive insight during the analysis. So we need to make sure whom we are selecting as a pair when you are going for a story. So it's all not always like you need to go test only with the testers. If the particular product is unclear, you can always have like have developer in the call and do a pair analysis testing with the developer or with the BA. Or you can ask the BA, okay, these are the things I have covered as part of this story. Is it fine, or do you want me to cover any uncovered scenarios or edge cases? Because every individual will be having their own perspective towards the stories, right? So yeah, select the pair and define the objective. So clearly define the purpose and objective of the analysis. What specific topic or problem do you want to analyze? So ensure that. So again, this is mostly on the story level. Like since we are talking about agile methodology, this is more about the story. So yeah, define the objective, like which one are you going to test, and pick the appropriate person for your pair analysis technique, and gather relevant information. So this may involve conducting researches, gathering data, and upstreaming input from various sources, and set up the analysis environment. Right. This can be a physical meetup space or a virtual collaboration platform to allow for ease sharing of information and yeah, identify the strengths. Of course, like when you're picking up the person for your paralysis technique, like identify the strengths, acknowledge and understand the strength and expertise of each individual in the pair. So assign specific responsibility based on these strengths to make the most of the collaboration, which we've seen already discussed in the previous session, right? So previous slides. So then you start with the analysis. So encourage open communication, active listening, and enhances exchanges of idea between the participants, whoever is there in the paralysis technique. And then important thing is question and challenge. Ask questions, ask right question at right time. So during the analysis, encourage the pair to question and challenge each other's viewpoint constructively. So I'll just give a example about this in the next slide. So this problem, like almost the question and challenges, this process helps refine ideas and identify potential flaw and gap in the analysis, right? And create a balanced perspective. Always like avoid bias thinking. Okay, if you don't like a person, don't call it for the paralysis. Like don't have bias thinking about the person, and ensure the analysis is objective as possible. And yeah, of course, record the findings. So this the documentation of your paralysis technique, right? So will serve a valuable reference and help in presenting the result to others if necessary. Review and reflect, right? Once you are done with the analysis, right, take some time to review the findings and reflect on the process. Evaluate the effectiveness of paralysis technique in achieving the desired objective, and identify the area of for improvements in the next paralysis technique. And then implement the insights. Yes, if the paralysis results is actionable insight and decision, take steps to implement them effectively. So if it is working fine now, like don't just keep it as such, like try to implement it often so that you get used to this particular process. So, and also like try to cascade down this particular flow or the paralysis technique to the other teams so that they can make use of it effectively, and share the results. Of course, if appropriate, share the results of the paralysis technique with the relevant stakeholders or the wider teams, right? And any recommendation or action clearly and concisely. So I will share a quick like a real-time example what I faced when I did a paralysis technique. So I was doing a feature testing in one of the project, and I was sharing this result. So this is more specific to the last point which I want to highlight. Sharing the result. So after completing all my the testing scenarios for the particular functionality, I made a mind map saying that, okay, these features are covered. And I shared this particular result to my product. And product was going through each and every flow, whatever I have tested. And what happened next is like the product asked me to demo it to the SMEs, which means the subject matter expert team. So yeah, the paralysis technique, the result which I seen in the testing of my paralysis technique is that like I shared my entire knowledge on the coverage part of the particular feature with the wider audience to the subject matter expert team, wherein I had my developer and peer tester and also my product. So there were a lot of questions from the subject matter teams, and I could answer them like, okay, this is all the coverage we have provided, and with that knowledge, they can effectively communicate to the clients or to the customers, right? So this paved a way for me like to implement the paralysis technique often. Yep.
Yeah, before seeing this slide, I think we need to see where we are going to do this paralysis and when we are going to do it. So as you know, in the ideal agile world, if everything happens per the book, then I think we don't need this the para-analysis technique often, because all the user stories will have all the details, acceptance criteria, in scope, out of scope, everything. But you all know that is not the real case, right? So we don't have enough data in user stories and sometime. And I also noticed in few other projects and in few other companies, they don't even have a definition of ready or definition of done for their user stories, which means the data inside the user story is incomplete. End of the day, it is going to impact us testers, because we need to have a clear understanding and we should not assume anything. So for that, we need to have so much clarity on a user story before starting the testing. So that's why we need to adapt this pair analysis technique. So we are going to do this pair analysis technique whenever it is secure. So we are not saying that this should be done for each and every user story. If a user story is very straightforward, you don't need to do this pair analysis technique. You can still do it with a peer tester to come up with a different type of coverage and different type of perspective from a different tester. But yeah, for a complex user story or a user story with a complex logic, or a user story which integrates with different modules and application, then yeah, this para-analysis technique will pave a way to understand the implementation and the business perspective and the impact on the user. So for these things, we need to collaborate with different people. You can say like business analyst or a product owner, to get more perspective about the business implementations and the impact on the user, and which user is going to use it. Which when I mean different which user, it says personas of users. So different persona can use a same application in different ways. So we need to understand these things for a particular user story. And with developer, we need to understand the way of implementation, which you're going to see in the next slides. But yeah, now we can go with this adapting paralysis technique. Just finish.
Yeah. So why we need to adapt the paralysis technique? So helps in identifying ambiguities, inconsistencies, and gaps in requirement design. So I just have a quick question. So when you guys hear the word nuts, what do you think about? You can type it in the chat. Like, what comes to your mind when I say nuts?
It's a mixed set of nuts.
So when I say nuts, like, what do you think about? You can type it in the chat. Nothing. Right? Okay.
Okay.
Both. Okay. Right. Yes, that is what we are going to talk about here. So when I say nuts, is it the context is it a food or it's a hardware, right? So basically the context changes based upon the person. So if I say it's 6 for me, I can Naresh can say it as 9, right? So the context changes. So that's the importance of adapting the paralysis technique here. So like by adapting the paralysis technique, you can leverage the collective intelligence and expertise of the individual, fostering collaboration and generating well-rounded insight that may not have been possible through solo analysis, right? So whenever you're thinking about a story, in your perspective, if some person is coming to your desk and asking like what you're testing, and he may have a different perspective to that story, and you may not be thought about, right? So it gives a different um, perspective from each person's. So yeah, and it also helps us to uncover the edge cases and outliners, right? Yeah, and leveraging developer expertise.
Yeah, I'm going to start with an example for this. So back in one of my project which I worked, it was a reverse ETL project. When I say reverse ETL, they are going to move a data using a pipeline. from a data warehouse, for example, like Redshift or Snowflake, and they're going to move it to a CRM system, for example, Salesforce. So that is the product which it was building, and it was a new product which they were building. So I was curious about the implementation process. So I asked one of my developer to give a walkthrough about the implementation. So he was explaining me. He arranged for a session together with a BA and also a peer tester. So he was explaining about the implementation process. So how they have doing this. So what is happening on the back end? He was giving a walkthrough, and he was always considering, the developer was always considering that always there is a data, and they're trying to move it to the CRM system from a data warehouse. That is what he is considering. So during this walkthrough, I asked a question like, so what happens when there is no data? So the developer haven't even think about this scenario. He actually missed that particular part. So because of which he said I didn't think about it, and it took him like couple of more days to develop the same and to cover it in the unit test and to give it for us for the testing. So in case if I didn't ask that question to the developer, eventually he would have missed it. Eventually I would have missed it, because there is no guarantee that I'm going to ask the same question during testing. If that happens, eventually that's going to end up as a production defect. So asking the right questions to the right people at the right time always prevents the bugs. So it can be to a developer, it can be to a business analyst, or it can be to a product owner during the refinement session or during the planning. So that's the idea here. So asking this question to the particular developer, kind of blocked some of the bugs which may lead to the production. So that is an idea over here. So you can always talk to your developers, ask him to give walkthrough, not for each and every user story. As I said, if the logic is complex, or if the story talks to different modules or application, then eventually that will give you more clarity. And you can also talk to a developer and ask about what kind of data you need to use for testing. Sometimes you can also find more bugs by giving the data. You all know that we play with application with different set of data. When it says give only 16 characters to a particular form, we testers, we just not give the 16 or below 16, right? We usually like to break the application. We give more than 16 and we'll play with it. Same likewise, we can check with the developer and we can get more insights about what kind of data is going through in the front end and what is happening in the back end. If it is possible to break the logic on the back end by giving different kind of data. So these kind of logics, we can only get insights only from a developer. As a tester, we can see the application from the front end, but if you want to get more insights about the back end of the application, then eventually we need to talk to a developer, and we need to share the ideas that what are all the tests we are going to cover, what is our test ideas to test this particular user story, and we can ask for more scenarios from them as well, because they see the application in a different perspective, and we testers, we do see the application in a different perspective. So having this discussion will clearly enhance our coverage. Sometimes it may stop the bugs in the development phase itself. Apart from this, you can also ask for a environment as well, because developer know in which environment has the better backend, and how we can know even for the performance bugs, we can cover it from with respect to the environment which we are testing. In the test environment, we may not find this bug, but if it happens to be in a production like environment, you can say UAT, you may find the particular functionality failing. So we need to ask this question to developer as well. So in which environment this needs to be tested, and I think that covers most of the points, I believe. And Dinesh, your point of view.
Yeah, I would like to add one more pointer here. So similar thing happened to me. So yeah, as Naresh mentioned, like ask right question at right time to right people, right? So there was a story for me to test, and it was related to the AWS instance. So it was still in the development phase, and we had a customer list. Okay, how the customers are using the AWS instance for their testing. So it's mostly related to the Kubernetes stuff and bring your own Kubernetes things. And we need to give them the access to create the installation in the spin up the instance, EC2 instance in the AWS. And there is another instance called EKS. And when we had the customer list, there was like only one or two customers, they are using the EKS instance for their product. So when the development began for the particular feature, there was a discussion happening, and most of the discussion were about the EC2 instance. They never talked about the EKS instance. So I was asking, like, I was curious to know like what they're going to do it, because for EKS it's totally different story, because it needs a lot of CPU memory, those stuff. Like when you have time, like please go read about EKS instance. For EC2, it's almost similar. Like you can just spin up the instance and it will cost very less. Whereas for EKS, it's very huge. So the team, they are entirely focusing on the EC2 instance. When I asked them like, what are we going to do for EKS? And to be frank, like even the BA is not sure. Like they are not even worried about the customers who are in EKS. And unfortunately, like when at that time we had a story, the development story which is already in place, and when they ran the particular test in the for the story against the EKS, there was a failure. It didn't even start. Like it was drastic failure there. Like the code didn't even start. So it doesn't even spin up the EKS instance. So what if what if we have delivered this particular piece of code to the customers and thought that okay, the case customers also thought that okay, it is a new feature, okay, we are going to adapt it, and that's it, like their instance might have gone forever. So yep, this is one of the real-time story which happened like recently, like more than 4 to 5 months back. So yep, that's how we need to leverage the developers expertise, because as Nash mentioned again, like we need to we need to gain the trust from the developers first. We need to ask the questions like how we can implement, or sorry, how we can test this or approach this to this particular story, or to a particular feature. Yeah. And engaging business analysts, so this is an interesting thing. uh, yes, so we need to create a rapport. So as mentioned in the previous slide, like I was mentioning, okay, you need to do a paralysis testing with developer, peer tester, and business analyst. So okay, it's all fine. I can bring in my peer tester, or I can ask my other team testers to pitch into my application and do a bug bash or ghost and those kind of thing and find the defects. And to some extent, I can create a rapport with my developer, but with the BA, it's really hard, right? So when you ask for a call with the BA, like most of the product owners, they won't be available for us to spend more time. So here is where the trust part comes in, right? So you need to provide a trust, like with the coverage or amount of testing you're performing from your end. That brings a trust to the BA. And till now, I'm following the same process. So initially, I was put into the project, and wherein I was the only tester in the team, and it was a team which already established 2 or 3 years back, and the team was so reluctant that they don't want any QA to test the code. When I joined the team, there was no trust on my end, right? Obviously there won't be any, because all the developers are doing their own testing, unit testing, integration testing, those stuffs, and there was no and no scope for QA at the time. When I joined, I initially set up a meeting with BA, but due to time zone difference, the meeting got delayed. At one point, I got a couple of user stories to test, and I got on a call with BA saying that okay, we need to review this particular story so that you can approve this and move it to done. So as you all know, like in Agile, we have a story, ready test, the flow, right, and then in QA, ready for test, and then acceptance happens. So BA was like, okay, you give me the story, I'll approve it and move it to done. I was like, no, I want me to explain you how I had tested or approached this particular story, and I need your approval. And then we got on a call, and after explaining all the things, like what happened to this particular thing, and where are the conversation happened related to the story, and the BA got confidence, and I requested her, like, can we have this meeting on weekly basis? So it's been more than a year. We are meeting on weekly basis to review the story, whatever I have tested for the entire week, and everything the BA will comment, or if there is anything left from my end, or any edge cases or edge scenarios, product will explain me like you need to cover this, and then I can go with the student developers and ask them like I need to cover this story, and then if there are bugs introduced in the edge cases, then we'll try to solve it. So yeah, that's the trust we need to gain from the BA, and have discussion with your business analyst on regular basis, so that they know the product better than us. But we test the product, the stories on the story level, but they know the entire perspective, like entire overall picture of the product, and the different teams are integrating. So they may have some more insight about the edge cases, right? So it's always good to have engaging the business analyst in your testing.
Yeah, I would like to give another example which happened with myself and Dinesh. We were the two testers in one of the Scrum team which we worked in the past with a healthcare related project, and we got an user story which was kind of an integration between two different modules. And I was working with the another module previously, and recently I joined Dinesh team that time. And the story was like bit more complex because it is integrating two different modules at the same time. So we sit together, we came up with a list of high level test ideas, and we had a lot of open questions. So that story already was picked up in the planning, and developers started developing it. In the meantime, myself and Dinesh sit together, we did an analysis of the particular user story, we came up with a lot of test ideas, and we came up with a lot of open questions. So we asked for a call with the BA, or you can say product owner, and we had a discussion, and we asked all the questions to her. And as a result of asking these questions to BA, some of the open questions led to creating another user story, because those issues or those requirements were not even addressed in the particular user story, which was in the sprint. So the and BA created a new user story. So if we haven't asked this question to a particular BA, eventually this could have been a bug, because it can be raised by us during the testing part, or it can be raised by directly by the client after it reaching the production. So that's what we need to ask these kind of questions to BA. And I agree. All of the sudden they will not agree to have this kind of meetings with testers. So we need to build that trust as Dinesh suggested. So first we need to come up with the high level ideas, and I think you all saw the checkpoints which Dinesh mentioned in the para-analysis technique. So we need to have a definition, and we need to have an analysis, and we need to go and showcase what are all the things we need to discuss, and we need to come up with a lot of questions, and we need to ask them. And at the end of the day, we need to showcase the value. So once after they seeing the no, so we are showcasing the value, and once after they see the value in these kind of sessions and para-analysis technique, eventually they'll agree with having these sessions with us. So yeah, so showcasing the value is the vital part here. So whenever we prevent bug, I think you need to highlight it whenever you get a chance. It could be in your planning meeting, it could be in retrospective. I think retrospective is the right place to highlight these kind of things, because these things will go unnoticed. Because whenever you raise a bug, all the people will know that it is a bug, and it is there, and it is tracked in a Jira ticket. But these kind of prevention of bugs, it goes unnoticed. And these are all the things, and these are all the values which we add as a testers. So we cannot quantitate the number of bugs which we prevented, but no, highlighting in retrospective meetings and highlighting in your daily scrum even, I think that is how you need to gain your trust, and you need to showcase the value by preventing bugs, by doing all this para-analysis technique. And again, showcasing the high level test ideas to the BA, and asking for the perspective from the BA will uncover some of the scenarios, and also the edge cases. And for example, say the tester is an experienced one, and BA is a new person joined the team, then it's going to be like vice versa. So tester is going to share the more business knowledge to a BA, because the BA is a new person joined to the team. And it could also be vice versa. If a new tester is coming to the team, and if a business analyst is there for long time in the system, eventually the business analyst knows the application in and out, because they also test the application sometimes. Not all the BA test the application, but yeah, some of the BA really test the application. They know how the user uses it. So from this, you can easily get a perspective what needs to be covered, and what is important, and what is must to cover in this during the tests. So these things how we need to leverage from BA and devs. Yes, Dinesh.
Yep. Yeah, with this collaborative approach to bug prevention, so what kind of bugs which we are preventing? So mostly, in the starting, we have discussed about the requirement, right? So requirement related bugs. So in the examples, whatever we have given, so it's mostly related to the requirements, and also the business context related bugs, right? When you're asking the question to the product, so some of them it turns out to be a new requirement, or the business didn't even thought about the particular scenario in that perspective, right? And then the design related bugs. So there was a funny incident happened with the design related bugs. So we were working on a same project, I think the life science project, and there were different teams, like more than 10 to 15 teams, and we had a bug bash session earlier, and there was a module which was integrated, and there was the module which was developed in my team. So I tested that module in for the other team during the bug bash, and when I came to my team for the other day for testing, I got this particular story, and the design seems to be different from what I have seen from the other team during the bug bash, but it's all in the same product. So when I questioned to the developer, like why the design is like this, like, and I took the screenshot of the other team and shared to them, like they were like, okay, we forgot to implement this particular component. So I think most of them are knowing about the Figma or the mockup files, right? So they were referring the mockup file, the older mockup file, and designed or like they got that particular component from the older mockup and designed it in the new user story. So which is totally wrong. So when I asked this question, they were like, okay, so we were using the old mockup and then they changed it. And yeah, sometimes it relate like coding related bugs. So that's why we have this three amigos meeting. So in Three Amigos, we discuss about the feature file mostly, but coding related, yes, you can always go ahead and look into the unit test, whatever the developers are written. And I guess most of us has access to the PRs, right? So to some extent, whatever is there mentioned in the GitHub, so you can refer to it. And if there are anything you wanted to add or as part of Three Amigos or Power of Three, right? So you can go ahead and leverage your ideas to the developers so that we can prevent some of the coding related bugs. And how did it prevent? Yeah, most of the customer business and then cost some time because we are finding the bugs during the requirement phase and enhances the user experience. Naresh, you want to add up anything here?
Yeah, I think you covered everything. I think I want to bit highlight about the coding related bugs. So as a tester, we should not, we should learn coding, but don't focus on the coding part, but try to understand the logic part behind it, so that we can gain knowledge from a developer, how it is implemented and why it is implemented this way. Is there any other way to implement the same? So other modules are using the same logic or not? So these kind of understanding will give us a better understanding about the, we can say, the overview of the application or architecture of the application. So that may probe you to ask questions, and using that you can uncover a lot of bugs, or you can say prevent a lot of bugs.
Yep. So this would be the key takeaway. So the benefits of adapting the collaborative approach, and then the pair analysis, and then the effective communication between the developer, QA, and product, and gain insight of the positive impacts of bug prevention, including the cost, time, and user experience and user satisfaction. So we are explaining this particular prevention technique, not just implementing one project. Me and Naresh, we are working together in the same, like similar projects for more than 3 to 4 years. And we have leveraged this particular technique of pair analysis in all this project, and it was a good success for us. Like, even though now we are working in a different teams, now and then we try to communicate, we'll try to have a common meeting, and I'll share the insight about what I am currently working on, and he, from his experience, he may give me like some of the ideas, so which I never thought about. And similarly, the current project, like it's kind of like the data flows from my team to Naresh team, so we have most conversation among them, amongst the different techniques whatever is used in my team and also in Naresh team. So with this approach, with this paralysis approach, we are trying to like create a lot many test scenarios and ask last many questions and share knowledge, and leverage each other's ideas.
Yeah, I think with Dinesh statement, it may seems like a successful story, but we faced a lot of challenges. So I just want to highlight that part as well. So yeah, as I said initially they will not agree to have these calls with developers at BA, because most of the time they initially they'll think that this is waste of their time. But we need to no, I think perseverance is the key over here. So we need to have that never give up attitude. So for us, I think as the social media depicts, or it says we are not on the opposite side of the war. So we are all on the same side: developers, business analyst, we quality analyst, or QA. We are all on the same side. So we are just doing this battle and war to give a seamless user experience. So we need to use this, and we need to talk to developers, and we need to understand their mindset. And again, the same goes with the BA as well. So we need to showcase the value, and we need to have build that trust first. Only then they'll agree to have these calls. So we faced a lot of challenges in different teams. So initially they will not agree to have these calls. So you need to as no showcase. We need to showcase the high level ideas, and you need to give in-depth questions. Only then they'll agree to this particular call. Then you need to ask those questions, and they need to understand this is end of the day giving the value to the real customers. So don't think about the business analyst or developers over here, or even us. So we need to think about the end users of the application. So the client's client, we need to think about client's client, as Pradeep says. So that is the key here. So only that by building that trust and showcasing the value, they'll agree to do this pair analysis with BA and developers.
Right. And saying that, we conclude our presentation, and thank you everyone for attending session, and we are open to questions.
I had one question, but you very well answered it at the end. I've always heard about the developer versus test analogy, and there are a lot of memes that run around the internet saying developers and testers are always on war, and how do you, and because you mentioned or you gave the whole webinar about collaboration, I was just wondering how the BA and test or developer and test collaboration work out. But you mentioned it very well that it's perseverance, right?
Yeah. So it's not just one day job. We need to bring
Yeah. We do have one question I just saw.
more of mini waterfall method.
Yes, Ashok asks, in the enterprise that is not following the true agile model, but more of a mini waterfall methodology, where multiple vendor teams work on different areas of the SDLC, how do you think we would be able to implement all of these collaboration techniques?
So myself and Dinesh are working in the enterprise projects. I think at least minimum 2 enterprise projects so far, and we implemented these collaboration techniques. As I said initially, multiple vendor projects, I know there is a challenge over there, because the developer or tester could be from the different teams. Even you can have 2 different set of testers from 2 different vendors. Obviously, you will have that clash, and I think you can say a lot of politics will be in play. So as I said, here we need to focus about the quality of the product, and the end purpose is to uncover the bugs and prevent it as soon as is possible. So we need to play it in a different way. As I said, we need to gain the trust. So you don't need to look this into a competitive manner. You can use this competition in uncovering the bugs. So you can have, you can say, constructive competition, competitive aims with different vendors. So even if you have a different set of testers in a vendor, so you can have a conversation, you can pick the brains of the different other testers from the vendor, and you can also share your ideas. So when you are open, eventually the other people also will open up. So when we are not to being open, and if we have that closed mindset, then eventually the other people also do the same. They'll get defensive. So I think the key is to have the open mindset and trust the even if they are vendors. I think they all need to work as a one team.
Thank you. We have the next question from Bharat. He says, where do you guys record these pair analysis findings? Is this attached with particular stories itself?
Yes. So whenever we analyze some user story, so all these things will be recorded in the user story itself. So you can record your high level test ideas, or when I say test ideas, which means test cases as well. So test cases or test ideas, you can record it in the user story, and even the open questions, you can record the same in the user story comment section, or sometimes if it is allowed, you can also have it in the description section as well. And you can discuss about it with your BA and developer together, and you can update all the findings in the user story itself. That makes I think the job easy for each and everyone, because they know this conversation happened, and you also know what is the end result of all these conversations as well.
I mostly update it in the subtask of the particular user story. So I update every conversation, whatever I had with my peer, even with the developer, or if the decision is taken from the business analyst, I'll tag the business analyst there directly, and then, okay, this is the decision taken for this particular bug or the observation, right? So everything will be recorded. All these things will be recorded on the appropriate user stories.
Cool. Do we have any more questions? Yeah, okay. Gaurav says, when we are working on multiple user stories or BAU items, how can we apply pair analysis techniques to every item we work? Or if not possible, how can we decide the priority of them, as pair would not be available for every time?
Okay, I think to answer this question, I think here comes the answer. So you need to think about when you are getting the user story. So even before the story was picked to your sprint, it is already there in the backlog. So whenever you get time, whenever you find time, go and look into the backlog user story and see whether you understand everything from the acceptance criteria or the description given in the user story. Try to come up with high-level test ideas and all the open questions there. Then during the refinement session, you can ask the rest of the questions. In the meantime, if you find time, you can have a peer tester look into the story. Then you can come up with a lot of other different perspective questions as well. So that is one way to do it. And it is not mandatory to do a pattern analysis technique for each and every user story. As I said, only if the user story is complex and if it has a complex logic, then you can do this pattern analysis to uncover and prevent these bugs.
Got it. Cool. Ashok also says, in pair analysis, does it mean that both of the testers work on the same story, or do we have one primary tester and the other tester in the pair is actually a secondary?
It's actually one primary tester and the other tester is just to give the perspective here. So maybe during that particular session for 1 hour or 2 hours on the same day or on a different days, you can pick the brain of other tester to come up with different perspective and different questions. And after that, I think the one primary tester can take up the user story. And if the user story is very big, obviously two testers can do the execution. But yeah, for doing this pair analysis technique, one primary tester is more than enough. Because talking to many people won't like. So if two testers asking too many questions to BA and developer, eventually they'll get frustrated. So I think one primary tester will make more sense there.
Cool. Where this, yeah, you were adding something, Dinesh?
No. I was reading.
Okay. Where this pair, Bharat asks, where this pair analysis can fit in. Once after grooming session, we only have 2 weeks of sprint time. Any suggestions?
So when is this grooming session happen? Is it right before your sprint planning or together with the sprint planning? Sometimes it happens in the previous week. So which means by ideal agile way, you need to get your user story even before the grooming. So if it is not happening, try to get it done. Even if it is not happening, it's okay. During the grooming, you can try to understand the user story. So right after grooming session, you can allocate some half an hour and you can try to understand the user story and you can come up with your high level understanding test ideas and questions. By that way, I think the 2 week sprint, it doesn't matter. So when you have better understanding of a user story, you can easily test what is necessary. So that gives you clarity about a user story. So even if you have 2 week sprint, on the first week of sprint, when the developer is developing the user story, you can still ask the questions. You can still have this pair analysis discussion with dev and BA as well.
Okay. Bharat, Ashok, if you have any question for the answer also, you can just unmute yourselves and speak. Anyone else, any other question, we are happy to take. We have another 5 minutes on our. If you want to ask directly to Dinesh and Naresh, please unmute yourself. We can directly take it. Okay. Until you form your questions, I have a quick update. Pradeep is conducting a Coffee with Pradeep session in Pune this Saturday on the 29th. It's a whole day leadership workshop, majorly focusing on leadership and testing. So if you are in Pune or if you have any of your colleagues based in Pune, I would highly recommend you to attend this. And there's a lot of insights on prevention, leadership, and everything on your plate out there. Okay, there are a lot of thank you notes coming in, Dinesh and Naresh.
Thank you.
Very good sessions.
Even if you have any other questions after some time, you can reach out to us via LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We'll try to help you.
Sure thing. Thank you for a wonderful session, guys.
Great. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us on
Thanks,
first half.
for organizing this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope you learned a lot. We absolutely loved hosting both of our testers. And thank you so much for joining us. You can definitely connect with them on LinkedIn later on if you have any more questions. And stay tuned for more updates. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.